Kent Adams here, and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm going to see if you can guess who our guest is today. Guess who our guest is. That's kind of funny, isn't it? No, never mind. A little joke, very little. Things are changing in the state of Washington, including some local representatives. We're going to talk about that with our next guest. See if you can figure out who it is.
After years of working with businesses in areas of unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, safety compliance, building codes, employee benefits, and unreasonable bureaucracy, it's time for change. It's time to end ruling by emergency order. It's time to heal the division in our state and start working together for the good of all citizens of Washington. As a daughter of small business owners, I know firsthand how hard it is to start a business and to stay in business. I understand the importance of the free market. Fair and open competition create a healthy and robust economy. As a representative of the people, I will fight for free enterprise and protect small business from the overreaching runaway government. I will examine every piece of legislation that comes before me. I will research the potential impact of new legislation on individuals, public safety, and the overall economy. I feel strongly that my skills and experience developed from my professional career are desperately needed in Olympia. It's time for less overreach and more freedom. I'm Suzanne Schmidt. Please join my campaign for 4th District Representative, Republican. Thank you.
Well, welcome back. I'm here and pleased to introduce Suzanne Schmidt. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for inviting me here this morning.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You're going to be part of the change agent out in the valley. Now, if I remember all of this correctly, Bob McCaslin, who's held the seat for a while, is running for auditor in the Spokane County.
Yes.
Therefore, his seat will be up and available. And you've declared your candidacy, right?
Yes.
What made you want to do that?
I know. Some people say, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I was leaning towards running for office before 2020.
Okay.
But in 2020, when the pandemic hit and the governor shut down the state, I was the president CEO of Associated Builders and Contractors.
Right.
We represent private commercial contractors. So in the governor's shutdown or his mandate, we were deemed non-essential. So the private commercial construction and residential construction.
It's the governor who was deemed non-essential.
Essential.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, but that's, in his mandate, that's what he had deemed as non-essential. So we had spent, actually 3 weeks, I was in a coalition of about 30 different construction industry leaders throughout the state that we were trying to get a hold of the governor, get his attention, say, please let us go back to work. I was having my members calling and just what's going on? When can we go back to work? I don't know if my business is going to be able to survive this.
Exactly.
And most of them, the majority of the members of ABC are subcontractors and specialty contractors. And so they're, 30 to 10 employees. They're not real large employers,
right?
And they run on very small margins.
Yes.
So being put on the sidelines for 6 weeks,
even for days, can cost them money.
Yes, absolutely. So that was going on. I was working with, like I said, a coalition throughout the state of employers or construction industry leaders, trying to get the governor to let us go back to work. After 3 weeks, he didn't acknowledge us at all. At 6 weeks, he finally came back and said, okay, well, you can go back to work, but you have to put all of these safety protocols in place. Right. There was 30 points, and he gave us, one afternoon and said, and you got to have them in place by Monday morning. So it was, let's scramble, get everybody, on board, let them know what the safety regulations are. Yes.
So are you saying you were busy?
Yes. Yes. I would say I worked harder those 6 weeks than I ever did in my life. I mean, my phone was ringing constantly.
Well, so much unknown.
It really, truly, it was. There was just so much unknown. We didn't know how long this was going to last. And then, again, these businesses were on the sideline going, hey, can we go back to work? When are we going to go back to work? We don't know if we can make it,
And we talked, meaning Spokane Talks, media, we talk with a lot of small businesses around town, some of the restaurants and others that were really hurt. Leisure industry was really impacted, as with builders and so forth. And I have to tell you, without exception, when I would sit down with them one-on-one, they would talk with moist eyes about what that was going to do.
Yep.
Not as much about their business, but what it was going to do to their employees. Did you experience that too?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
A
I
Fred
did.
or Jane would come to you and talk.
Yes.
I've got employees who are depending on some dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly, it was absolutely heartbreaking. It really was. I mean,
Yes.
it was heartbreaking to see that because, yeah, those small businesses, their employees are their family.
Yes.
You know, it's
Yes.
not just an employee,
Well-
it's their family, and they want to take care of them. And actually, even at the ABC, or Associated Builders and Contractors, at our office, I had to lay everyone off, but myself and my vice president.
Yeah.
And we ran the place for actually several months.
Yes.
And that was really hard on me. That was really,
yes.
it hurt me to have to do that, but I had to do it to survive. I was able to, in the end, bring everybody back on full time.
Oh, good.
And didn't lose anybody during that process, but it was heartbreaking. It was
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
It's a negative experience. It
It-
just
it really was.
is. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're running for office.
Right.
This is the first office you've run for. Okay. You know how to deal with the public and constituents because of your membership at
Right.
ABC and so forth. Tell me about what are some of your prime issues that need to be addressed.
Okay. Well, going back to that, when we were shut down,
Yes.
and people being just unsure about, what their future was, their economic, future, so on, and also just personal safety. We went back into session in 2021, and the Democrat majority was in control of, they were the majority, and also the proceedings, and proceedings went through via Zoom. They came back in 2021 and raised taxes, put more taxes in place, more fees, more
Yep.
social programs, and they eliminated, or at least limited, law enforcement's ability to keep us safe.
Yes.
And they took away some of the ability of the justice system to hold criminals accountable. So those things were happening, and that's where I feel like that's where I want to focus.
Okay.
I want to focus on, let's get some of those taxes that we put in place repealed.
Yeah.
If not revised,
And it's
repealed.
not like the state needs the taxes.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
I mean, really.
Yes, we had a surplus.
Yes.
We spent the whole surplus, plus we put new programs in place and more
Right,
taxes and
right.
fees. And so that's where I really want to concentrate, is giving money back to the working people
Yes.
of our state, and letting them decide how they want to spend their money, rather than the government deciding how to spend their money. And then also working on that legislation for safety, for safe communities. I mean, we've had, and I don't know the statistics off the top of my head,
Right.
but that we've had, murders, drive-by shootings,
Yep.
almost on a regular basis. Every weekend we wake up on, Monday morning and find
Yes.
out, something more has happened. And it's out of control, and it's out of control because the legislature put legislation in place to hamstring our law enforcement officers.
Right.
And so those are things I want to concentrate on, bringing more, repealing taxes, bringing more control back to our local communities, and then also working with the law enforcement officers to find out what is it we can do as a legislature
Yeah.
to help you to do your jobs.
Yeah, it seems like some of the, and I'll be honest, Democrats that passed a lot of the legislation have more concern, not equal concern, but more concern for those committing crimes, multiple crimes. I get, meaning the station gets, the press releases from the county sheriff's department, and I don't know how many times I'll get them even on the weekend and so forth at home, because
Right.
email follows
Right.
you
Right.
everywhere
Exactly.
these days, right? And lo and behold, they'll tell me that, well, this person has a record and has been incarcerated 48 times or
Right.
whatever it may be. And I'm going, why don't we get this? These people are doing bad things. They're doing bad things to our friends, our neighbors, our customers, our sons, our daughters, my grandchildren.
Right.
Okay, I want a safe place. One of the issues that I think will be dealt with in the next year or two will be our county jail. Have you thought about that yet?
I have, and I have talked with Ozzy. I've also talked with John Knowles,
Right.
who's running for sheriff.
John has a very good position on that.
Yes. And then I also, the county commissioners,
Yes.
as as the president and CEO of Associated Builders and Contractors, I worked very closely with the county commissioners and have good relationships with all of them, with
Right.
Al and Josh and Mary, and so talk to them about that also. Is it we. Building a new jail. Basically, what would that look like?
Right.
Because there are different, I want to say different phases.
Yes.
Different.
Yes. It's not one size fits all.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so I think, John's got a great plan, some good ideas. I think
Yes.
the county commissioners. And so really what my job, I think, as a legislator would be to support them. They're the ones that are in, I want to say, the trenches.
Yes.
They know how it works. They know what needs to be done. And so what I'd like to do is come alongside of them, and what can I do
Be
to help
supportive.
you, to support you in the legislature?
Did some of your members have thefts and things like that?
Oh,
at their-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what
Yes.
does that do to the cost?
Well, it raises the cost of the construction, you
Yeah.
know, and it cuts back on their margins, and and I think that's also something that people aren't aware of is construction companies run at a very, very small margin.
Right.
And so if they lose tools or materials, supplies, it impacts them directly. It's
Well, they
very-
lose time to work because
Exactly.
they don't have the tools
right.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
It can shut down a job site, and if they do actually file, a criminal report, then they have, that takes away from the job as well to file those reports. So they had a lot of, losing the copper. We've had vehicles with the catalytic converters.
Yes.
Just different materials being stolen, and also just job sites being vandalized.
Yes. Okay. We talk a lot about homelessness and what's going on downtown. You're in the valley.
Right.
What are the one or two top things in the valley that you can take to Olympia and say this is a problem we have?
Well, I think also it goes back to the growth management plan.
Okay.
And so looking at how we can really rezone and expand
Okay.
the growth management. I think, what we'd like to see in the valley is more houses, individual houses, single homes, condos, things that people can buy rather than
Right.
continuing to build more and more apartments that people rent. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's just that the bridge between.
But there's a more stable atmosphere when
Exactly.
you have a condo, and I think both at the state level and at the local levels, it's gone against building condos.
Yes. Yeah.
Therefore, it's easier for the builder and the owners to build apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we put the added costs on condos?
Right.
Okay. Some of us are getting older and are ready to leave our two-story house. Okay. The knees are starting to feel it and so forth. And our next step probably would be a condo. There aren't a lot of choices out
Right,
there. Okay?
absolutely.
And when there are, they're not inexpensive. Okay. And so because of the added costs that are required by what? Local and state
Yes.
legislation. So
Yeah. So, there was legislation that restricted the building of condos, and I believe it was back in 2008 when we had
Okay.
the housing boom or burst, bubble
Yeah,
burst.
yeah.
And that's something that I want to look at
Yes.
to provide those opportunities, because we know that the maybe the shortest path from living paycheck to paycheck to having some personal wealth is owning a home. Whether
Yes.
that's a condo or a
Yes.
house, it's
Yes.
owning a home. And
Yes.
so I want to provide those opportunities for the citizens of the 4th District. I mean, we have land out in the valley. I mean, that's not something, but it needs to be, I would say, rezoned. Again, that's something that's really looked at by the county commissioners.
Okay.
And then also the city councils. But I want to work, hand in hand with them. And if there is legislation that we can either repeal or that I can sponsor legislation
Right.
that's going to open that up, that's where I'm going to focus.
And we're headed to a new county commissioner system
Yes.
with 5 county commissioners.
Right.
And I think all 3 of the current ones are running for re-election.
Yes.
but there will be new people challenging them and new spots open too. What do you think of all that? Is that good?
Well, I wasn't for it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think I would have, stayed with the 3 county commissioners, and I
Right.
feel like, that we went with the 5 county commissioners because there were people, that wanted to open up those seats and
Right.
hold those seats. But I do, now that we're there.
We're there,
We're
yeah.
there. I mean, I'm, very, supportive of, so in the 4th district, I'm basically will split the commissioner districts with Mary Cooney and Josh Kearns.
Okay.
So Josh is.
Oh, you got to put up with Josh?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I love to give him a bad time.
Yeah, good guy. Love Josh.
yeah.
But yeah, so I would, work with both of them.
Okay.
But I've also, like I said, had, worked really closely with Al as well. And
Right.
yeah, so we have the 5 districts now, and so that's where we're at. I support the 3 that are running again, and then I've also, support Kim Please is running for
Yes.
the 1st district, and then Michael Cathcart running for District
good
2.
people.
Yeah, and I've worked with Michael also. I helped him. Actually, I was very active in his campaign when he
good.
ran for city council. So
Right.
worked closely with Michael.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's some good people out there running. And if we
I think there's going to be confusion, though.
Yeah.
About how the system works.
Right.
Now, because it used to be in the primary, you vote for your person in your district, and then in the general election. And my guess is about 80% of the public out there don't understand that yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be a new system, so
Yes.
there's going to be a lot of probably misinformation out there too.
Yeah.
And I don't say anyone's going to purposely do that, but it's a change
Yes.
that we're going to have to all get used to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree. And, and just when you said that, I always want to put kind of a plug in this. It is so important. It is absolutely vital that we vote in the
Yes.
primary.
Yes.
I mean, so many people, want to, come out for the general election, but they hold off in the primary.
Yeah.
And the primary is really where we select who's going to be running in the general.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
if we strongly support a candidate, we really need to get out and vote for
Why
them
is there
in the
such
primary.
apathy in the primary? Some of it is, people on vacation and at the lake. I've
Right.
heard that excuse, but it's just like I've also heard people. The feedback is, well, let's see who gets elected so we can vote. And it's like, no, you missed the opportunity.
Right.
Jane Doe over here might have been in the November election had you voted for her. You
Right.
know?
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. And so that's what, we really need to get that message out. I know when I'm doorbelling that I'm really focusing on that is please get out and vote in the primary.
Yes.
It's, we need you to vote in the primary.
Right.
Also, of course, the general.
Yes.
But just don't sit on the sidelines. And I know, like you said, it's summertime. People are out at the lake, but we do have mail-in ballots.
Yes.
So you have plenty of time
We've
to
put
fill
the
that out.
postage on it.
Right.
We've made it
Exactly.
simple. We've taken away all the excuses, and the numbers haven't gone up much at all.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know. I think that's our duty.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. I mean, I had family that helped write the Declaration of Independence.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, we go back that far, and I really believe that you have a duty as a citizen to vote.
I
You
agree.
maybe even have a duty to run for office, okay? And my point there is I really believe in what they tried to set up, which is a system of you come in from the private sector, whether it be running a farm in those days or a saloon or whatever it might be, to come in, serve for a while, then go back to the private sector.
Right.
And I think that's important. We need more people to come in and to go out and bring the reality of what it's like. And you've lived through some real reality the
Right.
last 2 years with your members,
Right.
and that's tough. We're just about out of time, so I want to give you a chance if there's something you want to say to those that are watching, and you have my support.
Well, thank
okay,
you.
in
Thank you.
case the
Appreciate
public
it.
doesn't know that, I've supported you already. Okay, so but tell us about why we should vote for you.
We should vote for, they should vote for me.
Yeah.
And I'll vote for myself as well.
Well, good.
Yeah. But because I have the experience, because I have been in the trenches. I have not only been in, the part of where the legislation is being written and sponsored, but also been at the receiving end of the impact and what
Yes.
does it do. And I understand what impact is. When legislation happens and rules are written, what is the impact? So I have that experience. I think I'm very well-rounded. So I've worked with the construction industry, yes, but I've also worked I worked at a dam at one point, so a hydroelectric plant. So I have quite a bit of experience and knowledge about power grids, and think
So
that's
you
going to
got
be
some damn good experience.
Yeah, yes, I have some damn good experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. And so I have that experience, but I've been on the Community College of Spokane's Foundation Board for
Okay,
the
yes.
last 4 years. I've worked really very diligently with that foundation board in providing scholarships for students at
Yes.
the community colleges and providing that private funds to
Yeah,
help
yeah.
the students that just can't quite make ends meet. And so I've been on that. I've actually been on the Small Business Administration Regulatory Fairness board, and so that's something I've been on for the last 3 years. And so that's where we're looking at at a national level, regulatory fairness,
Yes,
and how that, how we can help small businesses
Right.
to succeed. Because we do know that even not just in the state of Washington, but throughout our country, the backbone of our country is small business and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And so I have, a lot of experience with that. So I guess that's what I want to say is I have
Good.
the experience. And then also what you said about coming in and coming out. My intention is really to run, is to be in office for 6 years. So I
Okay.
would run 3 terms. If at the end of that 6 years or 3 terms, I feel, if the party is saying we have to have you stay because we just don't have someone else to come back behind you yet. But I also feel like it's my responsibility to
help
be,
nurture.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because, and that's what, even with my job at ABC, I've spent a lot of time with succession planning and knowing
Yes.
who next are we going to bring up to our board of directors, and who next are we going to bring up for the executive director. And so by thinking about that in my, as I'm serving, that's going to be a responsibility that I take really seriously.
Good.
As who's coming up behind me.
And there are a lot of some young people, more women out there now too, that could take your spot.
Yes.
Too, right?
Yes, and that's something that also that I've done on a personal level. I've
Right.
been very active in promoting women, and I'm going to do a plug here. I'm part of Whatever Girls. So Erin Bishop is
Yes,
the executive director of Whatever Girls, and we actually have an Empowering Women luncheon on
Coming up.
Yes, on
Yes.
April 30th. I won the Business Leader of the Year last year.
Yes.
And but I just put a lot of time and energy in that association because I love it. I love what they do, and it's all about empowering women
Absolutely.
and young girls and helping them to realize who they are and their own value and their own strengths.
And they
So-
can run construction companies and
Absolutely.
all of that these days.
Absolutely.
We see it here in our town, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Suzanne Schmidt, thank you. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. I wish I lived in the Valley. I could actually vote for you, but I'll be rooting for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for watching the Pulse of Spokane, everybody. Have a great day.
Are you looking for something generational, timeless, with historical truth? Then We the People Interactive Calendar is right for you, designed for the generations. With over hundreds of historical dates and funny cartoons, We the People Calendar makes the perfect conversation starter about America's history, what the founders intended, and why it's important today. Our mission is to expand conversations as we all learn together in our pursuit of truths. Let us add to the legacy of our ancestors. To get started, scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen and begin your conversation today.